if you have a Facebook page, like us, facebook.com/Vantage Controls, and you'll receive updated information via Facebook. So let's get started. Welcome. Again, I'm Reed Cram, and we want to mention that by participating this morning, you'll be entered in the drawing for one of 3 prizes. A first off the line Equinox 7.3 LCD touchscreen, which is scheduled for launch in the second quarter. Prize number 2 will be 2 Equinox 4.0 LCD keypads. Those will ship out immediately to the winner. And prize number 3 is 1 Equinox 4.0 LCD keypad that also will ship out immediately to the winner. So with that, I've gotten feedback that you can hear us, so we appreciate that. And in order to be eligible for the prize drawing, again, you need to be authorized Vantage integrator, have pre-registered and attended the webinar, and we strongly encourage you to download the Equinox 4.0 brochure, which you'll find on the consumer website under Solutions, www.vantagecontrols/solutions/Equinox 4. We plan to cover 3 key topics in the time that we have this morning. Mark will be covering the vision around Equinox 4.0, kind of where it began and where we are today. And then actually, Brian has had a conflict come up this morning, so Dave Patterson, training specialist, will be covering anatomy of a mini widget as well as getting it done. If you do have questions, again, we encourage you to use the questions tab or the chat, and we'll try and answer those questions as we go through the webinar. In addition, we will be leaving the last few minutes kind of open for kind of questions at the end of the session. And we will be posting this recorded webinar. We are recording today. We'll be posting that on the dealer portal, dealer.vantagecontrols.com, for future reference. So with that, I think we'll turn the time over to Mark. And thanks, Mark.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Good afternoon if we got people on from Europe, or definitely on the east coast of Southern America, if there's such a place. And unfortunate for me and for you guys, you know, I don't have a conflict this morning like Brian, so I'm here with Dave. Reed, can you skip down to the next slide so they can see where we are? All right, so what I'd like to do is talk about the journey, you know, being driven really from the homeowner perspective. I can say, I hope you guys understand that this has been an interesting journey for us, right from the homeowner through some engineering debate on what we're doing, what products we have, conceiving of innovation and different ideas, finally culminating in the release of the first Equinox product, EQ40TB-TI. That's the new part number for Equinox 4.0. You know, in some of the earlier WebExes and conversations, we talked about Equinox Control. We've moved on, so EQ40, as we call it here. And many of you guys have been an integral part of that journey, from rep dealer conferences, trade shows, from the RSMs, and us guys, the product managers, soliciting your knowledge and experience. Some of you guys have been involved in alpha testing. You've all been involved in this. More recently, that LNA, Legrand North America, initiated a research effort for us, focusing on Vantage homes and competitor homes. Some of you guys were involved with that too, so truly understanding their needs and aspirations. On the back of that, I'm sure again that you've heard us talking about wrapping ideas around keep it simple, grow with me, let me play, talk to me. All of those things that we've used as a catalyst to design the product. And of course, the most important and final tenet of our design consideration Something you like to hear is that my dealer defines the magic. And so, we've considered those 5 key tenets of design as we thought about the Equinox program. Over the next 45 minutes or so, we're going to demonstrate what we've done, how we've applied this experience, the theory, and practical insights that have delivered the Equinox product line. So, EQ40, it launched. We all kind of collapsed here and had a sigh, but it was an amazing thing that we managed to do. We had pre-sales of close to 500 units before we'd even launched the product, and since then we've had significant opportunities and a steady flow of product. We've had several projects, more than several. For me, projects with almost 20 devices in a single home, and that's an amazing thing for me as the PM behind the hardware here. We've had some great successes with this. But now, part of this webinar, we've shifted our focus to communication and the continued creation of marketing materials and tools to help you guys even more get this product into the hands of homeowners. Our ambition is to deliver a message around what we believe is a product set with unique value proposition for the homeowners. We've thought about those guys. And the specifiers, obviously considered those, or the client's representation. But as importantly, you guys, we're delivering a differentiated solution for you as well as everyone in the channel. Before we skip down to that slide, I'd like to just take a second to think about Equinox in the greater sense and what our ambition is, or our plan. It's the provision of a range of aesthetically identical hardware, a true range, in fact, right from a single gang EQ40 that we're talking about today, which is on the right-hand side just below the iPhone that you're looking at on the screen right there, to EQ41, which we'll talk about later in the year. Reed mentioned it, on the far left-hand side, the single gang unit over there, and onto a traditional touchscreen device center bottom. So all of those things, for us in terms of hardware, form part of this range. Obviously, there's a GUI, or a graphical user interface, that sits on top of there on a software platform that supports that. And our ambition is to allow that software and GUI to transition not only our hardware that we talked about, but also some key platforms, iOS, Android. Hopefully through the future we may be getting into Microsoft, but hey, that's Brian's business and not mine. But the point of the story is that we've got absolute consistency aesthetically and from a graphical point of view, and we're building an environment that will continually personalize and think about the homeowner as he interacts with our products. More about the GUI and the mini widgets and the full widgets with Dave. In my notes here I had Brian, but he's not around, so we can say what we like about Brian today, and absolutely I will. But Reed, can you skip down to the next slide, please? That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, concentrating on, again, I'll say EQ40TB-TI. That's a 4-inch mini widget Equinox product, as depicted by the EQ40. TB-TI. It's a trimline aesthetic product with titanium paint. That's what those numbers mean up there. This is a truly differentiated product, we believe. The slide that you're looking at, it's a little bit wordy. I built it so that you guys can kind of download this, review it later, and not be stuck with my narrative. I'll apologize one more time for the accent, but read it yourselves. Please take a look at it. Differentiated product message is so important to us. These are the reasons all of us need to believe in the product. So please take the time to look and help me portray this message. And even maybe, as Reed said, as I'm going through this, make some comments on the web chat if it doesn't make sense. So why is this better? For us, we've built a revenue-generating product. It's an opportunity here for you to generate revenue. It's contemporary interface, Apple-esque, if you like, by design for the homeowner, but you can sell this. It's a piece of hardware that we can all enjoy revenue through our channel. Right now, that's a unique proposition. The GUI will be consistent with other Equinox products, and will be made available for the Vantage and iOS and Android apps. So that means that homeowners can have the same look and feel with the installed product that you can sell and configure, but they can also bring their own CE-type products to the table, and you guys can set those up as well. Maybe there's an opportunity for a little bit more revenue as you configure an app for them. It's a great opportunity, you know. An app alone limits your revenue opportunity, but a hardware sell and an app makes sense, and that's very differentiated. We have an environment where we've got 100% control and feedback available through what I've been calling a live tile, a page, and what we call together here a single layer platform. And again, you know, Dave's going to go into more detail on that, but let's remember that that's unique right now, especially when we think about the ability to personalize the mini widget UI. And again, you know, we'll go through that later in the morning. This is a prescribed interface. It's easily replicated across other devices, speeding the baseline setup, and in some cases, some of the mini widgets, you know, you've got auto population of information through the Design Center tool. And again, this is some of the magic that we can create for you guys and speed up that time to configuring and setting up a home. I'm going to leave again that to Dave. In fact, this morning it's all about Dave and Brian. I'm sorry Brian's not here, but hey Brian, we're thinking about you, dude.
Oh, I'm thinking about it.
That was very American. But you know, again, on top of that, even though it's about Brian and Dave, it really is about you guys and providing you a tool that still allows you to deliver that magic that we talked about. And it allows you guys to shine in front of the homeowner and really own that elevated experience, which is the Vantage Equinox product line. I missed this yesterday, and we had a question on it at the end of the day, so please take a look at the uncomplicated and reliable infrastructure. You know, EQ40 is a station bus product. It's our proprietary 2-bus infrastructure. You know, that's unique to us. It's unique in the marketplace. It's simplistic in terms of daisy chain, star, branch, and everything that you guys know about. We've built an LCD product that exists on that infrastructure. And for me, that's an amazing effort by the engineering team, considering the amount of metadata that's flowing around that system. We have an ambient light sensor and a motion sensor on board. You know, we can talk about both of them in more detail later with Dave. But let's just say right now that affords us the ability to have less power on the bus and maximize the amount of product that we can get on one bus connection to our controller. Again, it's unique. The motion sensing capability will wake up the screen, so you're in power saving mode when there's no one there, obviously. But that pure fact of waking up the screen can also engage with a task, and Dave's going to go into that in more detail later. But right now, let's just say that as I wave my hand in front of the product, it wakes up and it can turn on the pathway lighting from the garage to the kitchen, something like that. You know, we also have an auxiliary input on the back of this product, and that, again, is an amazing thing that we've managed to do with an LCD panel. No one else in the market today affords the opportunity to connect other products to a keypad station the way that we do that. That's pretty amazing. And finally on this slide, in fact, no, just for the so why is it better, you know, we've created an environment where you can personalize either by space, user time, or function the interface that you see. More about that with the guys later. But let's just say right now, in terms of why is this better, this creates a convenient and simplistic interface for the homeowner. And we'll get into the practicalities of that through the morning. How does this stack up against our competition? You know, for me, it's the only product today that provides 3 independent functions. So some kind of temperature or comfort control, obviously traditional lighting control for us, and the ability to control audio in a local zone on a single page. And that single page can transition to 3 other pages, all on that single layer UI that I talked about earlier. How does it stack up in terms of cost or price or sell? You know, it's competitive, not only with traditional traditional manufacturers, but also comparable with an iTouch inside of a dock with some programming and an app. So we're doing our very, very best to build a product that's market relevant in the space. And finally, how does it stack up? Well, with all of the products that Vantage builds, we make them legacy or backwards compatible. In this case, it's Infusion and Station Bus. Maybe that gives you an opportunity to go back to Q homes and upgrade to Infusion, and this could be the reason to do that. But we also have the ability to retrofit, service, and generate user value through our protected channel. So can we win? I'm going to take a breath and a drink. Absolutely, I think we can. We've answered the homeowner need and delivered a unique spec proposition with the ability for you guys as our professional dealer team in that protected channel to deliver something that's really unique and relevant today. Thanks, Reed.
Thanks, Mark.
Next slide. I've got some more, unless you're tired of me.
No, keep going.
All right. Skip down. We're going down. All right, a real quick one. I put up here on the slide now, and again, review this later or send me some chat or send me an email. I'm sure you've got my email address. A couple of the insight statements to really validate where we are. I'm not going to read all of them. I picked out just a couple that I found interesting, and I'll just read them to you. So iPad changed the landscape, and then there was a dramatic pause from Bob. We're looking for like interfaces that help us make money. Whoever does this jumps the list. And for me, the comment I'd make on that is that Vantage, us guys, we're not fighting Apple or Samsung or XYZ, whoever's building a tablet interface or a platform. What we're doing is embracing it, and we're building hardware that supports a consistent environment for those, in my notes here, global monsters. They're changing things. They're changing the landscape. We're embracing it and working with it. Another interesting thing is that, a comment that came back, integrating subsystems in large homes is complex and time-consuming. Increasingly, we're searching solutions that coexist out of the box and can be connected through common software tools. Hey, here's my dramatic pause. That's really Design Center. That is the tool that does that for us. And some of the things that we're doing with the Equinox platform obviously support that too. So auto-configured, quick to setup, makes that product even more interesting as part of a native Vantage environment. And right now, I'd skip to the last one on the list that, Andrew, our manager, VP of Marketing over here, said at lunch one day. It's the only native environment, only the native environment can deliver the no-compromise, full-function environment and experience our own homeowners expect. And that's true, as we bring software, hardware, and the channel together, that's really where we can deliver and be different. I do have one more slide, Reed, but I'm going to leave it open because I've already exceeded my time slot. Please take a look at this, guys, later. This really is just a wrap-up. I tried to highlight things that I thought were interesting in a single slide. On the left-hand side, I'm thinking about the homeowner. So really, this is the easiest way to immediately access lighting control or other subsystems that we talked about in a single layer. I'm going to say that one more time. Single layer is something that we own and we've created. It's reliable. It's always on. It's always there. It's not like an app that you're trying to connect and turn your lights on. It's something that's fixed and connected the whole time. And obviously, we have the ability to provide much, much more with those functions and 3 pages. On the right-hand side of that screen, I'm hoping that you can see what I'm talking about there, and the opportunity highlighting new or remodel. So it's not just about new products. You can go back to any Vantage system, even Q with an upgrade program. It's station bus connected, and it's DC configured. That's probably the easiest, most flexible tool available to you today. It's a native Vantage product, so it will exist out of the box in some form, with auto programming. Certainly hope for you guys it's intuitive. Dave's going to talk through that in a little while. And for this product, it's very simple in terms of installation. This will fit into a single gang electrical wall box. So it's part of a traditional build cycle, nothing different, and really that answers the fears of the specifier. You know, you can go ahead and be part of a traditional build, and then we can come along and install an EQ40 in place of a standard light switch with standard infrastructure behind it. No more rework. And a little thing that was interesting to me especially is that, you know, this is a product for a global market. That product will work with anyone's back box anywhere in the world. And with that being said, if there are no questions for me on the chat, you know, I'll be here listening to Dave, and I'll be available for later. So thanks for listening. Appreciate it, and send me your thoughts.
Thanks, Mark. Turning the time over to Reed for a moment.
So we want to just give you guys a summary of the activities around the launch of Equinox 4.0 last year and some of the resources that are available to you today for understanding the product, as well as presenting the product to your customers, the end users. A lot of press releases, a lot of great press coverage around Equinox 4.0 last year in the main press publications, as well as trade show support. Both are on the CEDIA side as well as on the specification side. We do have brochures available, as well as Equinox 4.0 for reference is included in the new catalog, and the installation docs, cut sheets, and CAD resources are available on the professional site. We also have training curriculum, both online as well as in video form. There's actually a video, an Equinox 4.0 training video that we encourage you to take a look at. On the web, our consumer site has a lot of resources, and we're driving search engine optimization toward this new line of products, as well as of course, to the website in general. The navigation of the consumer site is kind of all organized around this new range of interfaces that provides the homeowner with the realization of their desires that Mark talked about earlier. As well, we also have, of course, the professional site resources. We've done, a wide variety of emails, again, both to you guys for information purposes, as well as to the specification community. We're continuing to use the social media to get the word out. And we have a variety of videos, and infrastructure videos if you are concerned about pre-wire and rough-in for any of the new Equinox products. An experience solution video that's an overview of addressing homeowner needs with interfaces, etc. So take advantage of these resources, and take advantage of these resources, and we're happy to make them available to you, and additional resources that you might consider that would be valuable. So real quick before we go to Dave, Mark, one comment was, nice job, Mark. And another question was, what is the touch technology used in the panel? Is it projected capacitive touch?
Yes, it is. It's projected capacitive touch. Exactly the same kind of interface experience you'd have with any traditional iPhone, smartphone today.
Great.
And thanks whoever said I did a good job. I don't deserve it, but I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dave.
All right. So it looks like I'm up. Let's talk about the 4 different mini widget combinations that we've got here. As you can see, starting from the top, we've got scenes only, where you've got the ability to have 5 soft buttons, is what we like to call these mini widgets, where you can program just as you would normally do as any keypad. I can label it, and if you, excuse the term, engrave it, if you will, which is really nice, since I can change that at any given time for the homeowner, even remoting in. I could change that and do an update for them. And so just a nice plug for this piece, that I don't have to guess on what the homeowner really wants the words to say. We can kind of work through that as they start living in the home. So it gives the homeowner some ability to be change their minds a little bit instead of just live with what they predetermined, because they don't want to go through the hassles of sending in buttons for an engraving. So the next picture over is temp and scenes. As you see, it's the same 5 buttons in the middle, but then it has a header, and we'll get into more detail on that. But we have a temperature header, which is a mini widget that allows us to pull in the WSI feed of the temperature, whatever the zip code is that you've put in for them on that. The next one down in the middle is scenes and audio. And so what happens here is you've got where it used to be the 5 buttons now turns into 3 buttons. Now, if you're not familiar with this piece and you're not aware of the ability to have multiple pages, and so I don't want you to be worried that you're going to be limited, what we actually have is 3 pages with this Equinox 4.0. And so that means on the scenes only page, for example, where I have 5, I could have up to 15 buttons that I can program, set up my tasks, and do whatever I need to do with conditional logic, etc., utilizing that many buttons. So back down to the scenes plus the audio, instead of 5, I now have 3 times the 3 pages. So that means I'll have 9 soft buttons and the audio mini widget in that lower quadrant. And then the last setup is the temperature, scenes, and audio, where I've got the top mini widget set up for temp, the mini widget in the middle for the scenes, and then the audio mini widget. So I'm going to get into more detail on each one of those on the next slide, so let's just move forward on this. So the header mini widget, as you can see, I've got several different options across that header. The first off I already mentioned is the temperature, which once again is based off of a WSI feed. And then the second is the HVAC, which is the adjustable temperature. Oh, excuse me, I misspoke. Let me go back. Temperature is actually the inside temperature of a thermostat, where I don't have control. Let's say I put this in the kids' room, and I don't want them messing with the thermostat, but I'm going to display what the current temperature in the house is. The next one over is the HVAC, where I have control of the temperature. I have the ability to raise and lower the set point and adjust what the current setting is on that temperature. And then the next one over is clock, as you can see, which is pretty normal. That's pulling in the time from the controller. And then now the weather one is the one that I was referring to. That is your WSI weather feed, where it's pulling in the information from online. And then you can also have it blank. So those are the top mini widgets for the header. Now the Premier Partners list is specifically for the HVAC. So obviously Vantage is going to be there. Our thermostats work great with it. We also work with, currently we work with the Aprilaire and the Daikin, the Fujitsu, the Hitachi, the Honeywell, and the Mitsubishi, the Sanyo, and the Toshiba. The couple of the others that are working on right now to be able to have control over is the Bryant and the Carrier, and the RCS and the Tecmar. So if you're utilizing those systems, keep an eye out for the web posts that come out from marketing. When those things come up, we try to get those email blasts out. Like Reed was saying, this is really an exciting year. And so I hope that you guys are taking time to look at what marketing is sending out. I know in the past it was, way too many emails, and we've talked to Reed about that, and they're trying to get a better balance to that so that you guys will actually take the time to look at what the tech notes are and what the information is that we're sending out, because this is such a huge transition year with what's going on with Equinox. And so don't just skip over those. I know that sometimes happens when you get a lot of emails coming in, but we want to make sure you guys are aware of what's going on, because we're really excited about how things are moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, So let's go to the next slide, which is going to be the Scenes mini widget, those soft buttons that are in the middle. Once again, you can have up to 5 per page. I'm going to describe this page a little bit. You've got the page indicator across the top, just like your smartphone device, where it gives you an indication of which page you're on, and so you can swipe either direction and go to the pages adjacent to it. You have a status indicator of the scene that's active, and you also have a level indicator underneath that, which will show the level of the load, or if it's a scene, it will show you the relative level of the group of loads that are involved in that scene. You also have a raise and lower, or your plus and minus buttons on the side of that active scene that allows you to adjust that and increase or decrease those. You can, if you want, as described here where it shows lunch, you could even just put the label on there and not put any programming on it if you want to be able to describe what the page is about. And I'll get into a little bit more detail on that when we talk about the profiles and the layout strategy of utilizing the different scenarios that we've come up with, and obviously some that you'll come up with on your own. So down at the bottom section, once again, you'll see where you've got the 5 scenes. So I can have a total of 15 if I go that route, if I'm not utilizing the audio mini widget. And then on the right, you'll see where I've got the 3 scenes plus the audio. So let's move now to looking at the audio portion of it.
Hey, Dave, before you transition to audio, a couple of questions have come in.
Okay.
And they actually go back to the HVAC. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So the question is, can you explain how the WSI feed works? Apparently some guys have deleted the feed or somehow. Are you going to do that when you do Design Center?
You know what, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. We're going to jump into Design Center in a few minutes, and I'm going to go over the setup and show you some of those different settings and stuff. So good question, and we'll cover that in just a few minutes.
Great. And what about dual or inverter systems with climate? Do we know?
That would be a question for Brian, and unfortunately he is not here. If it's, are you familiar with that at all, Mark?
Dual or inverter?
Dual, yeah, dual or inverter systems. So if you use the Vantage thermostat, it will allow for dual systems.
If you're talking about the power, then yes, the new Vantage thermostat has dual power, so I can have a radiant heat system and a forced air heat system, and that's the reason why one of the main features that we went with the new thermostat change, if that was the question.
Yeah, perfect. And then if there's further questions, just send them over and we'll find an answer for you. Sorry, Dave, go ahead.
No, that's fine. So moving on to the audio mini widget. This is actually, for me, being a reformed dealer, you know, I find that this is really exciting. For myself, I found that audio and touch screens were one of those things that I would lose my shirt on. It was one of those devil things that you had to give in to get the homeowner excited about, but you'd spend so many hours programming, trying to get control over the audio-video pieces specifically, building buttons and things like that. And so the fact that the mini widget, how simple it is and how quickly it works, is so exciting for me. You know, I can see it implemented with a lot of my former homeowners that I used to be the dealer of, because what I need to do to make the mini widget work, and I'll show this in a few minutes in Design Center, but basically you add the product, you bring in the Vantage 850, and you bring in the audio sources that you can control, like the Nuvo NVT2 for a tuner, or the MPE, or any of those things that are on that Premier Partner list, the Onkyo T455, 4555, sorry, you know, tuner, you know, any of those pieces, you drag that driver in, and associate what source I want it to be with the tuner, or not the tuner, the amplifier, and you're done. Everything else is built for you. So all of the different sources, let's just start from the top of this. You have a source indicator where there's going to be dashes across the top, and it'll show you the different sources that you have available on this with this zone. Now, keep in mind the Equinox 4.0 is designed to be a individual zone control. It is not the large touch screen where I'm setting it up to do the whole house audio control, and I'm going to jump into multiple pages and things like that. This is designed to be that simple room control of the audio. And so with that in mind, once again, I've got source indicator that just like when I swipe up higher between pages 1, 2, and 3, I swipe down lower in the source section of the audio mini widget, and it will just simply quickly change to source 1, 2, 3, and so forth. And down below where it says tuner 1, that changes. That's going to be the name. As you can see on the pictures on the left and the right, as the source changes, it indicates what that source is. Also, staying on the bottom section where it says tuner 1, you have the volume indicator, which shows you your level. You have your plus and minus with that. And this is also your zone on and off. And so by tapping the tuner 1 name, it would now go to white, which would be my off state, and or tap it again and it goes to the ochre orange color, and that's my on. And so here you have very simple control. I haven't had to do any programming. I mean, right there, I've just talked about source selection. I've talked about a volume up and down for a zone. I've talked about power on and off. So right there, you're talking about, you know, a good hour's worth of time setting up the programming for a single zone, and it's basically done for you in a matter of seconds. Each zone that you set up, each zone that you add and drop that into the room, it is done for you. So, and then let's get to the transport commands and the metadata. So right up above tuner 1, you'll see the transport commands, which once again are auto-built for you for every different source that you have that is controllable. So, for example, if I want to run an iPod, I use the iPort dock, and that driver automatically builds my play, pause, my forward and back transport commands, and they'll be present there for me. Also, the metadata. So up above in the middle section, it will show me, right as I make the change, it'll indicate what the source is that's playing. It'll not necessarily the source, the playlist or the name of the artist or whatever it was that I just picked up and started to play. And so, you know, utilizing a server playlist or like that iPort, I'll have those playlists that I can cycle through on the left-hand side there. If I'm going to be utilizing a tuner like the T4555 or the NVT2, it will display the current station, and I can also tap that button and it will cycle the presets that I have. And as you can see on the right, I can choose the frequency of that, and on the left it will tell me what that current preset is. And just like in your car, you can set those presets individually. Per Equinox 4, it has 6 presets for each tuner channel, basically. So AM, FM, and XM, I can have 6 presets. So, and that's individual per Equinox 4. So if I've got the kids' room set up, and I've got the kitchen area set up, and I've got the office set up, each one of those locations can have their own set of presets, just like in my automobile where I can go to the device and make those and set those up, and the homeowner can set those up. Just like in my car, I press and hold the button once I've tuned the radio in, and it will then give me the indicator on the left-hand side telling me what number that preset is. So pretty cool stuff, for a device that is just a couple $100 more than the standard keypad that you would be putting into the wall. And then briefly just mentioning like the internet radio, with the Pandora or other internet radio feeds that you have out there. You can select those and pick the different stations that are available with this, and once again fast forward and skip just like you can with your smartphone device. So now when I say just like you can, hopefully you guys realize that I'm using that term a little loose. This is a simpler device for something that doesn't have full control. Total control is coming with the 4.1 and the 7.3 touch screens, but for a device, like I said, it's only a couple $100 more than a normal Vantage keypad. This thing is amazing to me.
So on the Pandora example, it shows that Pandora is playing, right?
Okay.
Adele, I assume, is the Pandora station.
Right.
And Jukebox is the source that Pandora that we're playing.
That's what we've named the. That's what we would have named the source is Jukebox.
Because the question is, what about Pandora residing on one of these premier boxes like Automatic?
Well, that would be it. So, for example, in this example, the NVT2 would have been the source, which has Pandora radio capable on it.
Yep.
You can name the source whatever you want it to. And so, in this example, Jukebox was the name that was chosen. We could have named it NVT2 Tuner or whatever, but that's, it was named as Jukebox, and so as you swipe in that source area, once again, you're changing between the different sources that you've named, and you can, so for example, if I'm using the DMM, I can use the Vantage DMM and swipe between the 4 sources that are in the DMM. If I've got the other tuners that are out there, the Onkyo, which is a dual tuner, the NVT2,
I think it just gives us a way of actually presenting a user-friendly name that a homeowner would understand, rather than the things Dave's struggling to get out, NVT2, T4555, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
So it's just a naming convention that you can personalize again for the homeowner or the space.
Right, and so we are.
And Dave,
I know we're running really short.
Yeah, one more quick question on the rock playlist, on the server playlist. What is that icon to the right?
So the icon on the right shows me that's kind of your playlist sign. And so if I tap that, for example, if I am on a server playlist like the Vantage DMM, I can cycle between the Vantage's playlist of music to the internet radio of that and back and forth. So if I wanted to utilize the DMM's tuner, that's what that icon on the right does. Once again, tapping the name rock playlist would cycle my different playlists that I have there. So, so let's get into.
Thank you, Dave.
Let's get into my portion of it now that Brian's done. What was supposed to be 30 minutes is now 15. So I'm going to try to speed through this. As you can see here, I was just describing a transition from a standard keypad to a LCD keypad. Hopefully, we're trying to make sure that that's clear. This is a keypad station. This first Equinox 4.0 resides on station bus, and a very powerful device. So with that along, we're going to talk a little bit. Actually, let's jump into Design Center. So bear with me as I get over to Design Center and get a little closer to the screen so that I can see what we're looking at here. So let me go through and describe a couple of different layouts. The first is a very simple one. This is it would be, for example, if I was in the foyer of the house and I wanted to transition and see value of going from a regular keypad to a keypad that would be, or the Equinox 4.0 keypad. So here, I'm talking about the value of being able to display like the weather. So let's get into how I would set up this portion of the keypad. As with any Vantage station or keypad, if I select on the device itself, in my object editor area here, it gives me the ability to edit the entire portion of the device. If I select on the soft buttons, notice that there's a red highlight that goes around it, and this is the same on any of the keypads where I would be able to adjust, rename, add the task to the soft buttons. So back to the main portion of the screen, notice I can name it. There's your normal bid. I can put it in the area. There's the serial number with configuration. And we've had this question before. The configuration, once again, is just like a normal keypad. You put it in configuration mode, you tap the station, and boom, you get the serial number, just like any of the keypads. I can limit it on pages here. So notice I've got a drop-down that will allow me to select 1 through 3, which if I bring that to 3, then up above the Equinox station, now I can navigate to multiple pages and add more soft buttons. Something to keep in mind that if I leave that at 3 and I end up not adding any soft buttons here, that's okay. The homeowner is not going to see blank pages. There won't be any swipe indication. If there's no soft buttons, that does not get pushed across to the Equinox station. So moving along, as Mark, how about Mark? Sorry, I need a little bit more Pepsi. As Mark mentioned, the activate or the proximity sensors. And this is, if you haven't experienced this yet, this is actually a really cool piece. If you utilize it correctly, I think your homeowner is going to be really excited about what they can do with this. Take, for example, if I'm putting this keypad at the entry and I've got the proximity sensor activated with a task, this is 2 proximity sensors that are triangulated. You've got a 2 to 3 inch range, and you can fine-tune that. So, like in my house, because of how close it is to my door frame, I've got a very close range, and I have to get really close to it. I can get a little bit broader and get it right out to that 3, maybe 4 inch range, but really close. And so it's like, a great feature to be able to use. Now, once again, we're just running so short on time. If Mark wouldn't have talked so long. So let me just show you as we're moving along here. So I can select this task just like normal tasks. I can create it, or I can come in and select those tasks that I want to work with this activate. Your header type, you can select your weather here. Also your time, thermostat, and temperature would be where you would be selecting in this drop-down. Now the question came through on how to re-add that. Sorry, it's in your programming view. If you would right-click on your project level, you'll see where you can add weather. So if you guys chose to delete that, that's something that's automatically built. You can have more than one of those in a project, and you can click on Add Weather, and that's where you would add that and then enter the zip code in. And then you can select the header data. So if I've got more than one weather zone, like the example here, I could select more than one different weather and have that put in. I'll get to the day duty zone portion drop down in just a moment. So that was utilizing, once again, a single page, with a header and showing kind of some value. But let's get into the bigger value. Let's talk about setting up room profiles. So I mentioned the word profiles, and I want to talk a little bit about this. And once again, I know we're short on time, and so I want to just hit on this briefly. And we do have a YouTube video out there in the training area to watch on this. It's going to be a little bit more detail. But this way you can utilize and set this up where the homeowner has a specific profile, if you will, or layout that is designed around a certain strategy. For example, the room profile would be where on page 1 I have the main scenes, but then on page 2 I would have individual control of the loads. So if I swipe one direction, I have individual control. If I swipe the other direction, I now have the outside loads. So in other words, my room or area, this is still at that front porch where I go swipe left, I can now control the individual loads outside. I swipe right, I can control the room that I'm in. Okay, so that's utilizing the room profile. Now, time profile, this one's actually kind of a fun one. It does involve a little bit of programming. You've got to create a timer that would set the pages dependent on the time of day, and then you can launch a task that would be go to page task, and then every, depending on what time it is, it would have this be the present page. So, in this example, we're using it in the dining room area where in the morning, this is the present page. When they approach the touchscreen and wake it up, that's what they see.
Hey, Dave, just 1 second. Sorry.
Okay, does somebody else want to kill Reed? Because I didn't know.
Take your time.
I'm okay?
I'm getting feedback that we can go about 10 minutes after. So
is everybody okay?
Just to let you guys know that we'll still have time for questions at the end.
Take some questions.
And we want Dave to be able to kind of go through this. Keep your pace up, but don't
feel
like.
So I can still go 150.
Okay. Just don't feel like.
Except for now, I got to make up for that other time.
For the time I just talked.
Somebody put up something to read. Okay. So anyway, just kidding. All right. So once again, I've got morning. I've got a timer that automatically launches that, and so that, once again, is the present page. Now, in the afternoon or dinner time, at some point in time, the timer will launch, and now these are the pages that are active. So once again, the homeowner goes to the touchscreen or goes to the keypad, the Equinox keypad, and approaches it, wakes it up, and that's what's present. They don't have to swipe even. We're saving them that whole millisecond of having to swipe over, but there's their present scenes of what they want to do. So depending on the time of day, and same thing, in the third part of the day, I've got maybe some different scenes that launch at like 9 o'clock. Okay, so anyway, that's just another example utilizing time where I can have the touchscreen, the Equinox 4.0 station shift for me automatically. The next profile that I want to show you or talk a little bit about is the personal profile. So what the personal profile would be, where I have a specific person or two in mind, where the main page might be my general tasks. For example, this one I've got set up in the living room, but then on my swipe left and right, I have a his and her page, right, where swiping to the right gives her the different scenes that she likes. It gives her the reading light, for example, or pendants, allows her to entertain and whatnot. Send it to the third page, or swiping to the left, now is his page, and now he can access his task. So once again, very simple, swiping back and forth between those depending on who the person is, allows them to shift it to their personal profile. Also, I don't want to skip through this part with the header. This is the thermostat selection. So under the header, you see here we've selected the thermostat. And then the header data, I would come in and simply grab the thermostat that I have added. So once again, these are utilizing Vantage's thermostats, but we've brought these in as an object. Same thing with any of the third parties. I bring in, a Toshiba driver. Now I would have access to it as my header type, okay, or my header data. All right, so I also want to talk a little bit about functional profile. Now, what a functional profile would be, first off, let's describe the location. I've got the office. I want to have full control of the area that I'm in, but I also have scene controls. And I have now, as you can see, I'm utilizing the audio-video portion of it. I've got the music widget attached as well. So once again, 3 pages very quickly. I've got 9 scenes and individual controls. I also, being functional means I have control of third-party products like blinds, fireplaces, and things like that. So on my main page, I would have the main scenes, but then on page 3, for example, I swipe to the right, and then I would have my blind control. I swipe to the left, and I have my individual load controls. Okay, so that's my soft buttons in the middle area. Now the bottom section with the music, This is actually pretty quick to set up. First off, you automatically get zones built for you when you bring in, for example, the 850. But something you want to utilize probably with the Equinox 4.0 is the filtered zone. So that is under the audio video section, and you'll see that there's a filtered zone. And what the filtered zone does is it gives you the ability to, well, filter what the sources are. So notice I've got checkbox on, several of the sources that are added to this system, but not all of them. Now, if I had a room that I wanted to have access to all of them, then of course I could just utilize all of them. But for most of our homeowners, being able to filter that and allow them access to the specific ones that they want, let's say, for example, I've got DMM1 set up for dad only, and none of the kids have access to it anywhere. He knows nobody's going to be changing his music or messing with it. And the same thing, maybe he's got an AirPlay set up, and he doesn't give the kids access to that, so he has total control over that. And so what this is going to do is when I'm looking at my Equinox station, I will actually only have 4 dashes in my source selection instead of 13. And so that makes it a lot easier, of course. I'm not swiping between 13 different sources. I'm only swiping between the 4 that the homeowner wants access to. With this said, a couple points I haven't talked about yet I want to hit on. I've got a home button, which always takes me back to the page 1. And then this target button, this button is a hard button that allows me to put a task on that as well. And so a good example, we think would be a scene button that is my on-off scene. But maybe even you've done some conditional logic that would give you different lighting levels depending on the time of day. And then you also, one of the things we're teaching in training right now is how to set that up, but then also set up the activate task to only do an on if the lights are off. Otherwise, it does nothing. That way, if the homeowner comes up to the touchscreen or the Equinox 4.0, turns on the light, sets it to a lower scene, and then they come up to the 4.0 a little bit later and want to adjust the music, the activate no longer is changing the scene back to that the main scene that's tied to the task. So, the activate can be a very powerful task launcher. Just want you guys to think about it and explore it, and possibly even come into training and learn how we're setting those up and adding a lot of value to that part of the proposition. So I know we're running short on time, and we want to be able to take some questions. And so let's jump back to the presentation here. And this is part of the cut sheet, the brochure that you guys have. So I want you guys to know you guys have this as a printed material, or the ability for this to be printed. This is the profile and showing you the different layouts so you can talk to your homeowner with a fancy little glossy thing as maybe you're trying to discuss with them some of the profiles that would be adequate or functional for them and their lives. And then, just wanted to wrap up with the thought that you guys are still, even though we've taken a lot of the mundane tasks away, I've got to program a volume up, I've got to program a volume down. We've tried to take that away from you to speed things up for you and make it more profitable for you. You guys are still the ones that have to go out and really do the magic with the Vantage system. Creating the scenes and creating the tasks that have conditional logic in it that really makes the system pop and really gets the homeowner excited about it is still all on your guys' court. And, we want you guys to know that the direction we're going with Equinox, we realize and we've heard feedback that, hey, we have taken a little bit of the control away from you guys. But, if you just think about the fact that this now makes it so that you guys can do touch screens and audio video things so much quicker, actually have it profitable. You're not going to spend thousands of hours designing up a 650 or a 1040 touchscreen you know, I think you'll come to realize that this is an amazing opportunity. With that said, you know, if you still want to spend the time and money designing up touchscreens, there's third-party apps that you can download a 1040 design onto or a 1210 design onto, and that's still an option, and it's a viable option. But just keep in mind, guys, that there is no real need to spend the time on that. So, moving on. Who's got this part of the summary?
So yeah, so thanks, Dave. Great job covering the Programming and Design Center. And again, we want to mention that there is a video online that you can watch, and that'll help you as well with some of the programming. You know, just in summary, and then we'll try and answer a few of the questions that have come in. This is a key product for driving your business. It provides you with a premium keypad offering that is consistent with the Equinox family of products and will be complemented by the release of Equinox 7.3 mid-year and Equinox 4.1 toward the end of this year, as well as the apps that will accompany those. It gives you the ability to deliver through the mini widgets, you know, the combination of, you know, weather, audio, and HVAC control points in a single gang, single station bus-based keypad, which is fantastic. And as Dave has mentioned, with the mini widgets, it's a great time saver in terms of your programming time and delivering that experience that the homeowner wants. So we think it will help you deliver increased value to every Vantage system that you sell. Remember, it can be used in upgrades. If there's an infusion system in the home and station bus at the location, you've got an opportunity to upgrade to Equinox 4.0 in that location. So, you know, become familiar with the new solutions and more that are coming in 2013. Starting in April, Mark and Brian and Dave will be hitting the road and hitting some major cities. The RSMs are in the planning process with our team to identify those cities and set up the Equinox release for 2013, and I think there are a dozen cities over a month and a half period of time that we're going to hit with basically on the ground kind of a mini certification training, as well as additional information on the products, the mini widgets, and in this instance they'll be talking as well about Equinox 7.3 and the tablet apps. So that's our summary now. Just some quick questions, and we'll answer them as best we can. Is Seattle on the list, Mark, for the major cities?
Right now, we're trying to squeeze that in as part of the West Coast. We definitely have San Diego, LA, San Francisco. Seattle is a possibility.
And good. Okay. Thanks. And then the question is this available in 20? Oh, what about Toronto? Is Toronto one of the cities?
Again, we're trying to maximize our time, so maybe squeeze in Toronto with a Chicago trip. But again, that's a little bit fluid right now. We'll confirm.
The RSMs are trying to work out the details on that, so we don't have all the specific cities. You know. More likely, just think of if it's a major metropolis, Vantage is selling a lot of your products there. You know, we want to make sure you guys know that we're coming close, and you'll see some really neat stuff and be able to play with it a bit and really experience it.
Perfect. And Paul McElwain wants you to know that the beer is good up in Canada.
Thanks, Paul.
So, Equinox 7.3, the release date is planned for, go ahead, Mark, will you?
Right now we are right on track for the middle of June. I think, project reviews are telling us the 11th, I suspect. Just keep that date in mind. That's what we're shooting for.
Perfect. And then the other question is this available? Going back now to Equinox 4.0 that we just talked about, is it available in 24 volt?
Not right now. So the question might be, can I use a 24 volt master controller? And yes, I can use the 4.0 to power it up. Keep in mind that this station is almost 2.5 times more power draw than any of our other keypad stations. And so you're going to be very limited on how many of these stations you're going to be able to get into a 24-volt controller. So anytime you're doing an upgrade to a Q-Link, Q to I upgrade, for example, yes, I can put it in the house and utilize that wiring that's in there, and even utilize a 24-volt controller. But you're going to have multiple of those controllers if you're really tight right now with just stations. Because once again, when you're talking 2.5 watt draw versus amp draw versus a 1 amp draw, you know, it reduces the number of keypad stations really fast. It's amazing how those numbers add up.
Good, good. Yeah. So be careful there. That's the main thing. The draw is it's a much higher draw. So be careful in your planning there.
Yeah. You know, sorry guys, I was thinking more about Q when we talked about 24 volts. So you know, for me, as I said earlier, this is an opportunity maybe to go back and bring people to a current infusion state and take advantage of the capability of the 36-volt controller. Just as a heads up on the count per station bus, we're right at 21 per bus run on a 36-volt controller right now, if that helps you.
Good. And then I think the questions still come in terms of kind of, and I hope we don't confuse you guys on the phone, but in terms of the full family, you know, as you mentioned, the 7.3 launch coming up, we're in alpha right now. In addition to that, there will be the tablet apps that come out at that time. And then the 4.1 launch, which again is a single gang version of the full widget environment with metadata, etc. Will also, with that, will become the smartphone apps as well.
So the thing, maybe I skipped over it a little too quickly earlier, is that yes, there are currently 3 products conceived and in engineering. 4.0 launched. That is a single gang device. It's got a 272 by 480 resolution screen, and as Dave described in great detail, it utilizes a mini widget environment. The Equinox 41, 4.1 describing its dimension, 4 inches, exactly the same as the 4.0, but the 1 is telling us that it's got a single widget environment on there, so it's 1/3 the size of Equinox 7.3. Exactly the same pixel count definition. In fact, we're using exactly the same LCD panel. The difference being that 41 coming out at the end of the year is a true single widget environment. As I said, 1/3 the size of a 7.3 device, but you can continually gesture or swipe left or right to reveal multiple pages.
Keep in mind that the 7.3 and the 4.1 are Ethernet based, PoE, power over Ethernet, and so if you've got a location that you're even thinking about utilizing, get that Cat 5 or Cat 6 wire run. It's only a single run, but just get that run into those locations, even if you've already got station bus there and you're going to possibly upsell the homeowner from a keypad or a 4.0 to one of the upcoming touchscreen displays.
Hey, and we're bouncing around pretty well here, but on the back of what Dave's saying, you know, we also built an upgrade frame that will take you from a 650 to a new 7-inch. And on the new 7-inch, the Equinox 73, there's local power in, so if you don't want to use a PoE injector, you can take advantage of that 650 power supply and just use the Ethernet cable as your communication bus. So again, you know, maybe we skipped over it very quickly earlier, but our ambition is always to provide you the tools to go back to existing homes and upgrade.
Yeah, it's part of our effort to be backward compatible and forward thinking as possible, so that you can always bring the homeowner up to speed with the latest technology. So because there have been a lot of questions, we went back to kind of this opening slide that shows the 7.3, which is this product here that has 3 live tile full metadata widgets that Mark talked about. And Dave mentioned Ethernet connected with a tablet that has a similar navigation and the similar live tile apps. And the tablet apps will be sold based on a license basis. So
we can spend hours.
There'll be more information on that. And then the Equinox 4.0 that we've been talking about today, which is the LCD keypad station bus connected. They're all in this, kind of same aesthetic, etc. And we've got a lot of questions still that we'll try and answer. I'll try and sit here and answer you guys that still have questions available. But we've come to the end of our time, and we really appreciate your attendance. Really appreciate your interest and your feedback. And we want to thank Dave and Mark for a great job today. And look forward to the roadshow coming up in a city near you, and then probably another webinar, post that as we talk more about the evolving Equinox family of products this year.
And from me, let's not forget Brian. He helped us put this deck together, so appreciate his help and everything that we've done from a software point of view. And obviously you guys, appreciate you being on and helping us get this product in front of the homeowner.
Okay, well, great. Everyone, good selling. Have a great day. And look forward to hopefully seeing you in the coming weeks or in our next webinar. Take care.